Let's see if this works. That's working. Shoot, I forgot to click save. There we go. Okay, so this should be working. It is now working on YouTube. Alright, so I'm going to be trying something a little bit new here, where I'll give you some updates on what's going on right now, mainly with the system, Invest 99W by the Philippines. This is just like a new experiment, whatever. So currently looking at our worldwide tropical outlook, we can see the only thing that's active right now is in the northern hemisphere, and it is 99W, and it has a 50% chance of developing within the next 5 days, in my opinion, and a 10% chance within the next 48 hours. Okay, so starting off right now, we're going to take a look at the sun rising over Invest 99W. We call it an invest because it's not officially a storm yet. It is currently an area of investigation. Alright, sorry about that. Um, so as you can see, there is some sort of circulation embedded underneath these thunderstorms, and it is slowly drifting northwestwards towards the Philippines. And looking at some of the water vapor imagery, there's not a whole lot of dry air. It's mainly confined all the way up here towards the north, so it isn't a very moist environment. And if we take a look at the infrared imagery, showing us how powerful these thunderstorms really are, there's not a whole lot happening right over the center. The center circulation is like located right in between these two bursts. And looking at some of the satellite, um, satellite passes, we can see that on the latest High 2B pass, there is a broad circulation in here. Nothing too defined just yet. It's not closed enough for it to be a tropical cyclone, but there is a circulation that's embedded in there. Okay, guys, just want to confirm, can you all hear me okay? Thank you. So this is just some of the satellite imagery going on right now. There's not a whole lot impacting Mindanao right now, just all staying off to the south and southeast. Right now, nothing really impacting land at the moment, but of course this is going to drift northwestward and start impacting some of the southern Philippines. Okay, you can hear me, thank you. Alright, so starting off with kind of the models on the system, or kind of the environment it's in right now. It is in a moderate to high shear environment right now, and it is going to be drifting to an area with lower wind shear, which is why it's going to be given the chance to develop. Looking at where it is compared to the southern Philippines, its center is roughly 700 kilometers away from the coast, and the edges of the thunderstorms are roughly 200, 300 kilometers away. And the storm is around 1,700 kilometers away from Manila, so it has some distance to travel. Starting off with the models, we're going to take a look at the American model, which has been very optimistic on this storm. This is in 24 hours time. Right now, still just a broad circulation, not a whole lot of anything there. We go forward another 24 hours, and we can start to see the low developing right over Palau. And we go forward another 24 hours. That's when the storm starts to get a lot better organized. You can see this would be roughly the phase where it starts becoming a tropical cyclone. And we go another 24 hours in the future, and we can see this is a broad tropical cyclone at this point. And we go towards the 5-day range. This is when the American model wants it to really start ramping up after this point. Keep in mind, forecast after 5 days, models don't do as well of a job. So as we go forward in time, the American model wants this storm to rapidly intensify, then slightly weaken, and then as it goes northeastwards, it will have a jet interaction and intensify to possibly super typhoon, or at least major typhoon levels on this model, before then speeding off northeastwards and hopefully not impacting anyone. This is the strongest solution out of all the models, but it has it the farthest away from anywhere. Of course, this would be a problem for rip currents along Japan and parts of the Philippines if this solution did verify. Looking at the European run, this run has just come out. The previous run was very pessimistic on the storm developing. It did not want it to develop at all, but this latest run does. So I'll go through this with you all. This is within 24 hours, still nothing of concern just yet. We go 48 hours, still nothing. And it isn't until we get towards the 3-day range that the European model wants some sort of tropical cyclone to start to develop. And once we hit the 4-day range, this is when it wants it to be a possible tropical storm right next to Tacloban, just south of there. And then we go forward another 24 hours. This would be in the 5-day range. It wants it as a solid tropical storm, maybe even severe tropical storm, by the time it reaches Cebu City. I believe that's how you pronounce that. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then forward in time, it just stalls there and could even become a typhoon as it exits the central Philippines. So, I mean, again, this is a possibility, but notice how the two models are very wide, like very different in where they want the storm to go. Looking at the Canadian model, this model has not been hopeful at all for any development. It's really showing nothing. It shows a somewhat of a circulation near the central Philippines by day 7, but this isn't really the same system, and it really doesn't show anything. And same thing looking at the German model. Oops, sorry. German model's not really showing anything, just a broad circulation in the central Philippines. Now, if we go over to Ensembles, these Ensembles I do not believe have updated just yet. No, they have not. This is the Ensembles from around 12 hours ago. So starting out where we are right now, this is roughly the general idea, or it is right now, of course. And we go forward, let's go forward 48 hours. Most of the Ensembles are taking it mostly due northwest. Then we go forward another 24 hours. Most of the Ensembles do want this system to develop, at least on the European side of things. Then we go forward to the 4-day range. Notice how nearly every single one of these spaghetti Ensembles wants it to head towards the central Philippines. Then we go towards the 5-day range. Most of them want it to enter the South China Sea by that point. Some of them want it to head towards the northern part of the Philippines. And then going forward in more time, most models want it to, or most of the Ensembles want it to enter the South China Sea and potentially recurve. And we can take a look at that on here. This is the more recent Ensembles. And as you can see, most of them want it to go towards the central Philippines. There's only a few outliers that want it to recurve, like the American model wanted. But yeah, most of these wanted to go straight through the central Philippines. Now for comparison, this is the American Ensembles. These are a lot more bullish. If I go forward for the 72-hour range, most Ensembles want something to at least start to develop at that point. We go forward to the 4-day range. Some of the Ensembles wants a potential typhoon out of it by then. Then we go forward to the 5-day range. Some Ensembles are approaching major typhoon status, while a lot of others are approaching tropical storm and typhoon status. If we go forward even more in time, it's pretty wide, it's pretty spread out where it's going to go. We don't really know this far out, as it is not a tropical cyclone just yet. But some of these Ensembles have pressures as low as 946 millibars, whereas others have a pretty high at around 996 millibars. So there's a lot of variability in this. So I wouldn't put too much faith in any of these Ensembles just yet, like as one being better than the other. Here's a look at the imagery showing all of the Ensembles for the American, showing pretty much everyone wanting a recurvature. This would, of course, be the ideal solution, but they do want it stronger than the European model, as it's not going to have any of that land interaction. So as you can see, this is the difference between the two. Is one better than the other? We don't know yet. So there is a roughly 50-50 shot that it could go towards the Philippines. We'll know a lot more as the days go on. So now that we got that out of the way, I'll show you all kind of the threats that could happen. These are the next 5-day rainfall totals. Oops, sorry about that. This is the European run. I don't think this is the most recent. I'll refresh it. Okay, this might be more recent. I don't know. I don't think it is. But it doesn't have a tremendous amount of rainfall, mainly 25 to 100 millimeters maximum, at least over the next 5 days. So nothing too tremendous. This is the American model, still showing amounts under 50 millimeters for the central Philippines, and upwards of around 100 or higher for the for Palau. And then lastly, the German model, a little bit on the higher end, around upwards of 100 millimeters near Tacloban and southeast of there. But for most of the Philippines, there's not a whole lot. So that's pretty much the general overview of Invest 99W. So it's not a tropical cyclone just yet, but there's a 50-50 shot that it could do so over the next 5 days. Now here's a look at the latest outlook from Pagasa, showing a medium or a moderate chance of formation during week 1, and same for week 2. But this one is following more so the American ensembles, so I wouldn't be surprised if it starts shifting more west towards the central Philippines. Now if you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the chat and I will be happy to answer them. So Train Spotter Fee F1 says, is this going to be Wu Tip? If it is named, it would be named Wu Tip or Aring in the Philippines. Blue says, I'm giving the future system a 60% chance of formation. Hey, I feel like that's valid. Chances of formation will continue to increase if this model support sustains and we see more development out of the system. Ronan the Great says, I can see it on the weather app. Yep. And Damien says, hi Chase and everyone, this is not looking good. I mean, it's too far out to say if this will be any significant impacts, but there is the potential that the central Philippines could see at least minor impacts over the next week or so. So again, I will continue to keep you all updated on the system. And again, if you have any questions, just leave them in the chat and I will be happy to answer them. We are currently code yellow across the global tropics, specifically for this system, mainly due to the fact that it's impacting the Philippines. It's a heavy rainmaker, and there is a lot of popularity on it. People are paying attention to it, which is always good. Typhoon Lover says, hi, hello, how are you doing? If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the chat. Or you can leave them in the comments after this video. I will likely be doing another stream, either tomorrow or the next day, covering the system if things ramp up. This is just supposed to give a broad overview about what's going on with the system, because there can be a lot of hype about it. There's just mainly two major things this could do. It could either, oops, sorry about that, could either recurve, or it could go straight for the central Philippines. So two very different solutions. So I'll of course provide more updates as time goes on if things continue to look concerning. And so no, it doesn't seem like there's any new questions, so I will end the stream here. Wait, nope, we have a question. Typhoon Lover says, does this have a potential to strengthen? Yes, it does. It has roughly a 50% chance, maybe higher, of developing over the next 5 days. And this could even become a major typhoon if it's able to if it's able to develop rapid enough, and potentially get a jet interaction, the solution that takes it for the Philippines, though, would be weaker than if it goes and recurves out to sea. As you can see here, the GFS model, the American one, wants a pressure of 923 millibars, whereas the European one wants it to peak out at 977. So that's a 50 millibar difference. That's several categories of difference. One's likely a category 4 and one's likely a category 1. So there's a wide variety of solutions that could happen depending on where it exactly goes. Okay. Any more questions, you can just leave them in the chat and I will answer them. If there's nothing, I will end this stream. Alright, well, thank you all so much for watching. If you have any other questions and you're watching this video when it's not live, this was recorded at around 9:45 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. You can always ask them in the comments and I will cover them in the next stream if I do one. I will be doing a stream, of course, if this is making landfall as a tropical storm or tropical cyclone, to do live coverage then. Yeah, stay safe everyone. I will do my best to keep you updated. Have a good one.